What's going on, everybody? FYB presents Wise Word Wednesdays, a quick live stream to help you get closer to accomplishing your dreams. I'm your host, Joe Spider, and I do represent the fresh. I want to start off by saying thank you to everybody who's taken time out of their evening, especially if you're stepping away from Thursday night football. I want to say thank you for taking a moment to be able to check out this particular impromptu, Wise Word Wednesday, even though it's Thursday. I appreciate that. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the Wise Word Wednesday YouTube channel. There's a lot of content that I'm putting out there. There's a lot of great, dope interviews and conversations that I've had with some people. So I'll encourage you to follow the Wise Word Wednesday YouTube channel. If you haven't already, hit that like button right there. It just takes a quick second. When you hit the like button, you actually provide an opportunity for other people to see the content, for YouTube, for Instagram to see the content as well too, and just share that information. And so sometimes it's not for you, sometimes it's for somebody else. Like I mentioned, this is an impromptu episode. If you are in the comments and you feel like you want to be added to the Wise Word, the show, you want to give some feedback, you want to give your perspective, you can either leave it in the comments. I prefer the YouTube comment, so that way we can actually post it and our guests can see it as well, because we got a panel tonight. But if you want to join, you're more than welcome. Just let me know, shoot me the DM, and I'll send you the link, and you can join the panelists as well too, and just give your perspective. But this evening is going to be a dope conversation because we're talking about the most recent assassination of Charlie Kirk. If you're not familiar with Charlie Kirk, I do have a couple of videos I want to show based on the content. Now, I do have some people that I'm going to bring up in a second who do have some information or some perspectives that I think is important to share. Again, we encourage the conversation. We encourage you to speak your truth, speak how you feel. We might disagree. Some of us most likely will disagree on some things. We may agree or disagree on others, but at the end of the day, the most important point is the conversation. So I'm going to bring up my folks right now. I have somebody who has been, actually all these people have been on the show before, but I'm going to bring up first my sorority sister, Tony. She's definitely been doing her thing in Southern California, holding it down, representing out there in the Hollywood lifestyle, doing her thing. So shout out to you. I appreciate you being on the show.
Thank you so much, Fred. I always love coming up in here, but today's conversation, I needed to pop up in here and represent for my Black queens and my Black women, because
do that. Hold on, let me get my sound effects going on. Once I get my sound effect, there we go. There we go. I'm getting fancy out here. You know what I'm saying? So yes, absolutely. Give your perspective from the sisters. You know what I mean? Let it be known. And I appreciate you and your willingness to join. Next, I'm gonna bring up my bro JB. What's popping in the building, holding it down? How you doing, bro?
What's happening with you, big fella, man? Pleasure to be here, brother.
No doubt. Gotta show some love for JB joining the chat. And also shout out to, I see Monster is in the comments on Instagram Live. So shout out to you. Appreciate you being in there. I was out there with you a couple weeks ago in Fresno, holding it down. You know what I'm saying? Bruh popped out for me, you know what I'm saying, with me and showed mad love. Lastly, I'm going to bring up, last but not least, my brother, Rail. What's going on, big bro?
What's good, man? Looking forward to tapping in with everybody. Thanks for having me on.
No doubt. So listen, before we get into any of this, I do want to I want to kind of share some videos that I have about Charlie Kirk. Give me 1 second. We're gonna share some information just to give the people who may not be familiar with a little bit of background about Sir Kirk. his opinions or some of his beliefs. And again, if you're listening, you're more than welcome to join a conversation. I will send you the link. If you DM me and be like, yo, or leave a comment and say, I want to join, let me know. I'll DM you the link right now and you can join the conversation and join the panel and give your perspective. But let's take a look at Sir Kirk. Give me 1 second. Boom.
And Michelle Obama and Sheila Jackson Lee and Ketanji Brown Jackson.
Can y'all hear?
Action picks. You would have been called racist. But now
I
they're
can hear.
saying it for us. They're coming out and they're saying, I'm only here because of affirmative action. And we know you do not have the brain processing power to otherwise be taken really seriously.
Yikes.
You had to go steal a white person's slot to go be taken somewhat seriously. Play cut 52.
No doubt. So that's number one. Hold on, I got plenty more. Let me just stop sharing screen so y'all don't see my personal videos. Hold up. Oh, actually, I think I can still share screen. Hold on. 1 more second. And I see my man Dip is in the building. He said, yeah, I never heard of Kirk until yesterday. Man, Def, I respect that for sure. He's been wilding. Got some more information I'm gonna share. And Dip, man, I need you on the show, bro, because you've been, you know what I'm saying? You've been doing your thing with the music. Shout out to, Parchester Village just had PV Day, and I want to talk to you, man. It's on the show. So if you get a chance, man, we got to set it up. No doubt, because been knowing you for a minute and love what you've been got going on. So let me go to the next video that I have.
I'm sorry, if I see a black pilot, I'm gonna be like, boy, I hope he's qualified. When blacks in America did not have the same rights they had today, they were less murderous, there was less break-ins. Why is that? And the data shows they were actually better in the 1940s. So it was bad, it was evil. But what happens? A certain skin color now gets their own summertime celebration. Oh, wow, look how far blacks have come. It has now become a racial complaining day. Remember what BLM stands for? Burn, loot, and murder. Yeah, DEI stands for one of you didn't earn it, just so we're clear.
Can we also acknowledge, due to the laws under Jim Crow, that Black people were significantly hindered from economic advancement?
This is a really important question. The data shows not really. Black Americans are poorer today in 2024 than they were in the 1950s. The disappearance of the Black father has been the #1 driver of Black poverty in this country. At least agree that Black dads not being around is a bad thing.
Anyone's father not being around is a bad thing. Starting in the 1980s and continuing onward, there's been a war on drugs. Is this correct?
I like the war on drugs. Blacks commit more crimes than whites do. They commit more murders, they commit more arsons, they commit more kidnappings. That's not a war on drugs, that's a culture problem. Why are so many blacks committing murders outside of their population? And so we've spent $20 trillion on uplifting Black communities, $20 trillion, and Black Americans are poor. Subsidized housing, Medicaid, public schooling, subsidized college. We're talking about $20 trillion in this fund of the Great Society, and yet Black America is poor, more murderous, more dangerous.
Part of equity is allowed
other people.
Got one more.
But I think it's worth it. I think it's worth to have a cost of, unfortunately, some gun deaths every single year, so that we can have the Second Amendment to protect our other God-given rights.
Ooh, the irony. Ooh. Okay, so that's the information that I just wanted to share. I saw that Dip was in the comments. He said, yeah, we gonna definitely set up the get together. Shout out to Armani Easley, said thank us for talking about this. And then Dip said that boy sounded crazy. Boy, I'm telling you, he was wild. He was a wild boy for sure. So yeah, looking forward, Dip, to having you on the show. Listen, so does anybody want to leave after watching that video? Has anyone's perspective changed about Charlie Kirk, about what he's been saying or what's been said about him? The floor is yours. Feel free to let me know who wants to go first. Don't be shy, because all y'all some talkers. So let's not act like y'all don't know how to talk. All right, go ahead, Tony. You got it.
Well, you already know how I'm gonna say about it because, well, first and foremost, I'm, Tony, born and raised here in the Hollywood area, but went to school in Davis, and now I'm fully in like the entertainment industry as a producer, mainly in unscripted, but now I've crafted over into documentaries and social media. And for me, like I think with everybody else, I think I really didn't even know this man like in general until he passed. So like for me, I didn't support him. I didn't even know who this man was. Didn't even know who this man was. And so for me, when I had to look back at all the interviews and all the actual, like for me, I'm an archivist. And so for me, and a historian, like historian. So I always be like, let me look at the facts. And so when I was actually looking at real time interviews of him, like saying these outrageous stuff, especially in regards to representation of women of color and people of color, I was just in shock, but I'm not in shock only because of what's going on in the entertainment industry and how stuff is being pulled with DEI and like us being represented in that space. I'm not surprised. But for him, thoughts and prayers. That's all I felt. Like thoughts and prayers. I'm a God child. I don't like anybody being killed. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
However, karma and the tongue. Okay. So anything that you say of the tongue may sometimes hit you. And I feel like in this case, I think the stuff that he was saying, the higher up, so whoever you believe in, probably was like, enough. So for me, I feel like there probably was people out there that did not like his perspective and POV and had enough of it. And for me, I just feel like it's a bigger conversation of these conservatives and people who think that they can get away with demonizing and belittling us of people of color. It's not how it was back in the day when it was slave times. We're not going back in the field. You know what I'm saying? Like we have more intellect and we have more of a voice to be able to be like, it's enough. Now, for me, I feel like there is a desensitization of violence that's going on around where we're kind of like, I feel like there's like this facade of like, everything's still okay. Like, and things are going to be back to normal because that's what's happening in Hollywood. But there is not a normal. There is becoming a new normal that we don't know about, but I think others know about that we're not being real about. And so I think with this assassination, unfortunately, I don't like anybody's life being taken. However, whatever you do with your tongue, karma's going to hit you back. Boomerang.
You know, I definitely I echo similar sentiments, right? Like as in like I'm not necessarily shedding a tear. And shout out to my boy Fellas in the building. He just messaged on the Instagram. It's a lot of Richmond in the building. Shout it out. You feel me? You know what I'm saying? You know, I echo those sentiments, right? Like for me, and I'll just go just because I think, and I don't know if you saw my Facebook post, but basically what I said was essentially like, as much as, because I am hip to him, to Charlie Kirk for sure. You know what I'm saying? Trax is in the building. What's up? A lot of you in the building. What's going on? I'm familiar with Charlie Kirk's content. You feel me? I'm familiar with his rhetoric. I've watched his 20v1 like a couple months ago when it came out, and I've always been like, I don't agree with bro. You know what I'm saying? I don't agree with a lot of the stuff he says. I'm not saying I agree with 100. I don't agree with 100% because there's always, you know, the little bits and pieces you can pull from somebody and be like, oh, okay, like, you know, I agree with this, but I don't agree with that. You know what I mean? There was a lot of things that he said that I completely just disagree with flat out. But in my post, I said, although I don't agree with him and I don't like him, I do not agree that it's okay to murder somebody because you disagree with his opinion. And apparently that was just boom. Like, you don't say that, you're anti-black, basically. Like, you're wrong. You're supporting him. You're defending him. And I was like, what? Like, when did I become the defender of this man? Because I was just saying like, yo, killing somebody because you disagree with them is not okay. That's all I was saying. And the reason I say that is because I can find something that I disagree with in everybody. Every single human being on this planet, I can find something that I'm talking about, not just disagree like just a little bit. I'm talking about, yo, you're wrong and I'm right. You're absolutely 100% wrong. And if you say another thing like that, I get to kill you is what we saying, because I disagree with what it is that you're saying. I disagree with your perspective. That's the part where I'm like, I can't get away with that. Now, I'm not shedding no tears for bro. I'm not singing no sorrows for bro. I'm not lifting bro up as a martyr and we need to have, you know what I'm saying, a plaque with his name on it. But all I'm saying is be careful, because in the famous words of Stephen A. Smith, when white people catch a cold, black people catch pneumonia. So if you're going to say it's cool to murder him because we don't agree with what he says, that means you're also simultaneously saying that when somebody doesn't agree with me or us, it's okay to murder them because what they think is more important. So that's all. I'll leave it to somebody else who wants to take it next, either Rail or JB. You could take it next. But that was just my perspective in why I was like, I don't agree with the murder. Don't like him. I just don't agree with the murder of him. But let's go with JB. What you thinking, bro?
I think empathy is a very interesting thing. And it's funny that this word is coming up because he kind of slandered empathy, if you will, by saying that he thought it was a new age buzzword that kind of gave people an excuse to not be responsible for their actions in some way, was the insinuation. But in a broader sense, what it is aside from the fact that it's generally freely given, empathy is a thing that is a natural, or should be a natural, human response to what we would call trauma or tragedy. And I think that response, the connection to that response, is partly due to our connections as human beings and our desire for justice or morality. But it's very hard to connect with somebody on a human or moral or a judicial or justice way when you didn't feel that from the rhetoric that the person spoke when they were alive. And so what we see now is that we see a lot of people trying to coerce empathy out of people when it is not naturally felt. And I think the fact that it's not naturally felt is directly indicative to the division that he intentionally created with his rhetoric. And so I think you don't have to feel like you need to be empathetic with somebody that you don't humanely connect with. And I think that's what's happening in a lot of cases. Now, some people do, some don't. But I think when you're looking in the realm of empathy and feeling sorry for Charlie Kirk and his family, it has to be a natural thing. And if it's not, you're seeing a macrocosm, really, in a way of us being forced to feel sorry for our oppressor because our oppressor has received consequences for their actions.
Piggyback.
That is the biggest display in my lifetime of Stockholm syndrome that I've ever seen. That we have been made or forced to fall in love with our master, with our abuser, even when the abuser gets what one could say is coming to them.
Yeah, I think like literally I was having a conversation with my boyfriend and he was just like, would I want to give flowers to my master like that has abused me? Like, would I want to go and give flowers to, like you said, my oppressor? And I think it even brings a bigger conversation of just like how much there is really no unity and there's like a huge divide. Because at the end of the day, like, yes, he did get killed, but he got killed because of the stuff that he said. You know what I'm saying? And how he got shot, that sound like it was planned. or it was definitely like strategic, or it definitely was
Right.
something that was like boiling to a point. And it wasn't off of randomness. And I think what really pisses me off is that the same day there was a literally like another school shooting
Right.
that didn't get no recognition or didn't get enough of praise. But this man who belittled people of color, belittled Black women in general, gets more of a higher thing. I even saw like the people in DC had did a moment of silence, and they was just like, I'm not doing no moment of silence for this man. What contribution did he do for this country but to clickbait, rate bait his views and points for other people or whoever he was following to be able to give him that platform? And he wasn't even combating with people who were like of the same level. He was like debating with college students. You know what I'm saying? And women who, and I remember, I think the one thing that really ticked me off is that when someone, I think a woman had asked him a question about if someone got raped and had to keep the baby, would they have to
His
keep
daughter.
the baby? And he said yes. And I was like, what? When a whole society of America basically is telling us as women that yes, we have to bear children because we ain't got that much kids in the world, but society is not even giving us support to maintain the kids that we are bearing in this world. And you want me to be like thoughts and prayers for this man? No, I'm going to give support for the kids that got killed that same day. Those are the ones that, and I think that even misses the whole big thing is that children need to be protected. And I feel like time and time again, kids, college students, the people, our future generation are being just thrown by the wayside and just being like, forget y'all. We're not going to support y'all. We're going to actually just cook y'all to dust. But at the same time, we need y'all. It's like, it's kind of
it's contradictory.
It's very contradicting. And even
let me ask you this real quick, sis, real quick. I just want to ask, because I hear your points and I agree with a lot of it. I guess my issue is, let me ask you, would you say that Malcolm X deserved to die? Based on his rhetoric, based on the
his
things
rhetoric,
he said.
no, I don't think he should have, but I think it was in his, I think because he had such a radical view against America at that time, they wanted to silence him. The thing about America is they're going to try different ways to silence you, whether it's through policy, whether it's through legal ways, whether it's through jail. Shoot, I've been looking at so much different crime stuff and how much legally they have suppressed us. It's like death shouldn't be the answer.
Right.
However, if it becomes the answer, it really has to be the open thing of like, not everybody's gonna be giving sympathy to the thing, because even when Malcolm X passed away, there was so many different views. Like some people supported it and some people were against it. Right. I'm not gonna put this white man in the same caliber as Malcolm X. I'm just not doing
it. No. I'm not trying to put him in the same caliber.
Not in the same caliber,
obviously they're completely different. But I guess what I'm saying is that
it shouldn't lead to the power of the gun. Oh, honestly, gun violence should be
exactly that's not acceptable.
The biggest thing I think it is that America, we've always had gun violence issues and we've never been able to solve it. I think what's going to happen is that this case may be the change of what's going to happen with gun violence. And I'm sad that I had to take a white man for it to be some type of convo about gun violence when gun violence has been happening for so many decades.
I think the opposite is actually going to happen.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing.
I think a million more Charlie Kirks are going to arise.
Oh, 100%.
And I think they will now be gun-toting and they will be much more militant than Charlie Kirk ever was. And you
And,
can
and don't forget that the HBCUs today, a lot of them got shut down because they were receiving death threats. They were receiving bomb terrorist threats. The HBCUs today. So what I think was like, if the goal was to, it's almost like a lot of people don't know the history of the Black Panther Party, right? The Black Panther Party, Jarrell, I'm gonna tell you this. I'm gonna let you in, Jarrell, right after I finish. The Black Panther Party was started. If you read The Revolutionary Suicide, if you read Huey P. Newton's work, he said, I would have joined Malcolm X movement if he wasn't assassinated. So when they killed Malcolm X, they actually created more versions of Malcolm X, a more militant version, an entire group. And during this time, they literally said the worst people right now, the worst issue in the United States is the Black Panther Party. That's what they said. They said, this is the worst issue right now that we need to focus on. And I think what we're seeing is the opposite of that. Killing Charlie Kirk doesn't silence guns. It doesn't minimize guns. It doesn't minimize violence. What it in fact does is you give them a reason to push, just like when President Trump got shot. That didn't got shot at, right? That didn't stop people from being on his side. It actually rallied them together to be like, let's get them, because they're trying to take our mans. Like, they're trying to take him down. But let me let Jarrell, I'm gonna let you get in here because I know you've been waiting for a minute. It's been almost a half an hour. You ain't spoke yet. So go ahead, bro. Talk to us.
Oh, it's all good, man. I'm enjoying hearing y'all talk. Y'all the experts here, man. So yeah, I would just say, so my experience with so I've been tracking him for a while. I'm not new to him at all. So I experience him and know him in general. It's kind of one of those things where, you just kind of put him in a certain category. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, okay, he represents that ultra conservative, what I would consider white Christian nationalist MAGA, like that. You know what I mean? That he's in that space. So, it's just kind of like nothing more, nothing less. It's like, oh, okay, clock it, see what it is. I hear his content from time to time. As I'm kind of just perusing, content and things like that. So I'm aware of his views and heard his debate, a lot of his debates and those kinds of things. Hear, mostly things it's like, nah, I'm, not really what a lot of what he's talking about. Obviously, every now and then there's some things that click, but the main thing that registers to me is his, rhetoric and perspective about the Black community. And like I said, what I would consider the white Christian nationalist kind of point of view, if you will. So it's like, okay, he's one of those dudes. Hear him pop up, and so I hear him and see him pop up, here and there, or whatever. So that's what I've known of him. Now, when yesterday comes up, so my first reaction was like I was hurt. Like I was like, oh man, like when I just saw the video. It's funny because I heard people talking. I saw some posts first, and I wasn't really paying attention. I wasn't online a lot that day, and then I think it was our thread. I think you guys was like, hey, this happened. I was like, oh snap, like what? So when I saw it, my first reaction was like, wow, that's crazy. Like, yo, that's horrible. You know what I mean? Like, dang, buddy got killed. Like, that's not the way. Like, I didn't like this and that. But like, man, that's crazy. But you know what I mean? Like, I felt for him. You know what I mean? And in that moment, and all that kind of stuff. And so now after I start going through the feeds and things like that, a couple of things popped up for me. Number one, I didn't realize how affectionate how big of a following he actually had, and how affectionate people were to him. Like, you know what I mean? Like, he was beloved by that group. You know what I mean? Like, not, you know what I mean? Like, that group of people. It's a very specific group, right? Who are in that space. But he's beloved, like he's one of their champions. I didn't quite clock that. Like, I just thought he was just another, you know what I mean? Just another one of them in there. And so I was like, wow, like he's getting a lot of love. It's like, okay, it's kind of like, because when I see that, I also see people are sharing and loving him, but I'm aware of the message. So I'm like, you're also validating his message all throughout the timeline, but whatever. But what really started to bother me, or really started to like engage with me personally. So for those that don't know, I am a pastor, and so I'm in that space, right? And so I started to see a lot of leaders. You expect it from, the other side of the Christian space, right? You expect that, that they're on that kind of time. But when I started to see a lot of Black Christian leaders and pastors sort of portraying the idea that, you know, the only, like, we just need, this is horrible, and it doesn't matter if you disagreed with his beliefs, like, you have to, if you're a believer, you have to pray, and the what was being said is as if that's the only proper response to this. You know what I mean? And I started to see people who would pop up on the threads, like, Black people essentially like, I don't, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. And they're kind of like shut down. You know what I mean? Like, no, shame on you. You need to be considerate. And it's like, whoa, 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 whoa. Like, I'm not, that ain't it. Because you can't, and again, I don't want to get on a rant here, but it's just that whole over spiritualizing things, right? You can't use the faith and scripture to minimize people's conflicting feelings. And Jeremy kind of highlighted the empathy conundrum really well. So he painted that picture really well. You know what I mean? Somebody who wasn't empathetic and was consistently, blatantly, publicly, arrogantly speaking material that's harmful to you and your people, like, you know what I mean? You gotta carry that. And so now when this happens, of course, people are gonna like not feel the empathy necessarily, and people need space to feel that way for those reasons. You know what I mean? And so now when you have leaders who are trying to silence people and shun people, for that, it's like, nah, I don't really, I'm not with that. I think that's a problem. And then on top of that, and I'll stop here. On top of that, what I also began to see, which kind of surprised me, this is what really shocked me. Like, that was what I saw. That I know that's kind of like, churchinese kind of thing. You know what I mean? We do that kind of stuff. It's like, no, we need space for the full spectrum of the human experience. You know what I mean? So, but the other part was I saw a lot of Black Christians and Black Christian leaders elevating him, and like,
Yo,
yo,
wild, wild.
he's the dude. Like, he's really a champion for us. And I'm like, whoa, whoa, whoa.
Can I just say real quick?
Hey,
I
go
love
ahead.
it.
Whoa,
I love
whoa.
it. Because
Yeah,
I want to know.
Bring
I
it back
want
to
to
me, but go
know
ahead.
who sees it. I want to know who's supporting that dude. You know what
Oh,
I'm saying? This kind of how I feel when it came
Bring
down
him
to the
out.
whole Trump thing.
It's a bunch of
Bring
them.
it out.
People
Bring
like,
it
I
out.
was like, let me see, so I know. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying?
And
Like,
you
but what
know
I
Yeah.
will
what?
say is this, right? Because as a person looking at it, what I felt was, on one hand, I saw people who were trying to force empathy out of people who weren't empathetic and don't have to be empathetic.
Yeah.
While simultaneously on the same feed, I also saw people who were upset at those who did have empathy. Not talking about the ones who were supporting.
Yeah.
What I saw was, how dare you have empathy for this individual?
Yeah.
You need to go to hell, block me, or I'm gonna block you or delete me. And on the other side, I saw, how dare you not have empathy? You should be ashamed of yourself. This man was murdered. And that's the part where I felt like I got kind of caught in the crossfire, because I was just like, dang, murder ain't cool. You know what I'm saying? I ain't cool, bro, but murder ain't cool. And everybody was like, you need to be empathetic. And I even saw people who was like, his supporters like jumping in. I'm like, yeah, you wild.
You know what? I would actually add into that, because I'm not gonna say who the Christian leader that I used to follow, but when I saw his post about really giving empathy about that man, I had to unfollow him, because at the end of the day, at least for me in my Christian walk, I was born and raised in the church, Baptist, Pentecostal, the whole thing. Usher's ministry, had the slip, everything. Okay. So, but I have also grown as I've grown older. I have my own spiritual walk with God. And I don't let I will say for me personally, I don't let, because there's also a thing of religion. And sometimes the term of religion sometimes gets a little shaky with people because religion kind of really, I feel, is what separates people. When I saw one of the people that I followed, and he was like, and how I knew he was wrong is because he posted it and then he took it down. And I was like, I don't see your post anymore. And then I saw in his stories, he was like, God will prevail all. I was like, oh, you can't put God in this, okay?
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, he said what he said. So it takes God or whatever. God is gonna make the decision of whatever his people gonna have to, whatever decision you have to do. It ain't even me, okay? So however he go is however he go. It ain't my decision. However, you ain't gonna persuade me of my Christianity to give empathy to a man, at least for me, that has not given no support to me, that has thrown my women under the bus, and told time and time again that we are basically of no use. So it's like, if you don't feel like I'm of no use, I'm not gonna support you.
Yeah.
Period.
Or cry when something happens.
No crocodile tears over here. Like I said, prayers and thoughts.
No doubt.
Thoughts and prayers.
No doubt.
I don't want nobody murdered. However, you ain't finna about to test my Christianity and my religion or whatever because I don't want to support this one person. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like, even if you want to even take it back to Saddam Hussein, even back to 9/11. You know what I'm saying? Some people have for and some people was against that. We can even take it to Gaza, okay? Because they're still bombing over there. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So when it comes to, I really feel like there is even a huger like a bigger conversation when it comes to, okay, how do I even like continue my walk in faith when my leaders are like showing their ass? It's like, who do I trust? Who do I trust? And I think the biggest thing, at least for me, is I don't even want to take it to the Diddy case, but the Diddy case even really showed it me to be, because a lot of religious leaders follow Diddy. Okay. And it's like, at the end of the day, money is what really leads of all evil. Okay. And you will really see how people really are when it comes to money and when it comes to power. And I think we're really seeing how some of our leaders are really being led by power and money. And I think we need to step away from following the ideologies of people and going back to, okay, what does God say? Like, what does the higher up say? I'm not following these idols. You know what I'm saying? Because some of these people that are idols are showing their ass, at least to me.
Yeah.
At least to me.
No doubt. Germ, I'm gonna let you get in here, but I forgot. My bad. I gotta drop Beyonce do the explosion. I'm getting the sound. Go ahead, JB, get in there.
I think Real was in there first. So I was gonna hop in there.
Oh, my bad. Okay. Go ahead, Jarrell. And we'll do Jarrell and then we'll do JB. Go ahead.
Yeah, so yeah, I'll just finalize my point where I was getting to, which is just to say that I understand, like, you know what, I'm sorry, tell me that one more time. I lost
Tony.
the Tony. Yeah, so like, so my and what I kind of made a post today about, essentially saying like I grieve and give space to people like you know what I mean, who are, you know, wrestling with that, because even like, you know, it sounds like you might be even less, you know, empathetic to the situation than maybe some others. But even those who are like, you know, like, all right, I should, you know, have care, and maybe I'll you know, I got to figure out how to care because I am a believer, and I am compelled to love even those who don't. Scripture's very clear. If we follow understanding what Jesus taught, it's very clear that we should even love those who hurt us. Like, that is part of what we should be trying to do. All those kind of things. And so, you know, and the loss of life, it should care. My point is that, you have to give people space to feel all of that, and to be okay to wrestle with, you know what I mean, trying to figure that out. But the thing I wanted to end on was just to say, coming back to the idea of the Christian leaders, it's like when I started to see how many Black Christian voices and Christian leaders, and I'm not even necessarily talking about the famous ones, because I kind of expect, you know, like mainstream preachers and you know, people in power, you know, they gotta almost have to lean that way, you know. So I kind of expect, it's kind of disheartening, but you get used to it, right? But I'm more so talking about my network, you know what I mean? Like I have a huge network of pastors, spiritual leaders, voices, and believers, etc., and seeing so many of them pop up and to kind of highlight him because he identified as a believer. And I'm not saying he wasn't, but my point is that like because and he did talk about his faith a lot and he resonated with that. But the problem is that like it's very much that white Christian nationalist Christianity. You know what I mean? And to see how many black people, black Christian leaders and voices partner themselves with that side. Like I'm aware obviously there are black people who are on that side. I do know that, but it was just disheartening to see how much in this particular situation to minimize the things that Charlie did say and to act like those things, he's not racist, he's not, it's like to see them defend his rhetoric. It's wild, you know what I mean? And so anyway, so what I'm getting at is just my side of the world is more so like, yo, my art is against, one against the Christian leaders and just disheartened about it. I'm not here to argue about them and whatever. I'm just disheartened about it, right? And on the flip side, to make sure that there's at least somebody like people like Tony, young believers like Tony, where there's at least somebody who understands. You know what I mean? Like everybody ain't sold out to that side. You know what I mean? There's some folks that's like, we get it, and there's space for all of that while still being true to scripture. Like I said, we should have some capacity to be able to feel and to understand and empathize. He has a family and he was a believer. I think that you can even say that that's real. You know what I mean? Like, but again, that's kind of the point. It's like you got to wrestle. You know what I mean? It's okay to wrestle with, you know what I mean, the this and the that. And that's kind of my point, to give space for that while being discouraged for the people that don't realize there's something to wrestle with. And so, yeah, I'll stop there.
Well said. Well said. JB, go ahead.
I always y'all know me, I like to look at stuff from big picture and small picture. If it's not true in both, it's not an absolute truth. And I think a bigger picture of why we see so many of our Christian leaders kind of turning Charlie into a martyr is because that's generally how our Christianity, American Christianity, is taught and is most displayed. I guess outside of the Christianity, what is now a microcosm in this setting, this is true outside of that as well, but we often are taught to believe and or feel and think that whiteness is the default setting, if you will. That is right. the go-to place for morality and or the way things should be done. And so when any deviation from that presents itself, is very often frowned upon, even in our own circles, even in our own communities. This could be an extension of slavery, but I think it's historically bigger than that, if you're honest. White has always been right, not just in America. And that's just the way it has been historically kind of propagated. And so what you're fighting is thousands of years of history, rewritten history, and indoctrination for that people believe that they have to side with right, and the right side is the white side. And so they make up any excuse really for Charlie's behavior. And we begin to kind of like browbeat people when they say anything different that deviates from that. And so I'm of the mindset that just because something is celebrated doesn't make it accurate. And so I think oftentimes we go with the crowd, we go with the flow. And if you're not careful, you'll find yourself on that side of the coin. And we see that with a lot of Black leaders. And on the other side of the coin, I also see a lot of people speaking, specifically a Black female leader that I never really cared for. She called herself a prophet, and she's really horrible. But
I bet you. I don't even know what you're gonna say, but I got a feeling I know what you're gonna say. Who you talking about? I ain't going to the name.
her
Because I
name
saw
start
something
with
too.
her name start with Tiff and end with N.
Yeah.
I thought
Of
you
course
was
you're gonna do it.
I thought you
Of
was gonna
course
say
you're
another
gonna do it.
person.
You know I'm
I
gonna do
knew,
it.
I
I'm
knew,
gonna
I
tell the
knew
truth.
exactly. That's
and shame the
I
devil.
know you're talking about. I saw it, and I know. Yep.
Yeah,
Okay.
if you
It's hilarious.
have grief and are bothered through your relating with black men, you'll side with anyone. And so you see that a lot as well. And this is to a side. I see the, and I don't see this a lot, but the black women that I see siding with Charlie, it is because they have been extremely hurt by black men, and Charlie is kind of their attack dog, that they can sick on black men, and they don't understand that by proxy, he's also sicking the dog on them. I'll let y'all jump in there because I feel like that was a big point.
Oh no. Because I just blocked somebody. I just blocked a black woman that literally made a whole post talking about this man was an amazing person. I followed him in his whole entire career, and I feel like he was a contribution to my life. I said, first of all, you ain't even from America. Number two, you are dating a white man. I saw that she married a white man. I was like, now wait a damn minute.
Like he don't like you.
He don't even like you. But that's even a bigger question, even for me, in regards to media, on how they are literally wiping away Black American history, Black American culture, and they're literally replacing it with Black immigrants that are coming in. Because I don't even want to, you want to talk about BET and how they canceled BET Awards, Hip Hop and Soul Train Awards, but then they brought back the Caribbean Awards the same week.
Yeah,
drop the mic. I'm just gonna say about it.
We know what that's about. Go ahead, bro.
Yeah, I'll just type in really quick on with Jeremy. Like I'm not gonna say much because this is obviously a very subjective, and I'm not really interested into like a lot of the, at least for me personally, a lot of the subjective conversations. But what I will say though is that Jeremy, I had a very similar thought today, bro. Because I found a little bit of a rabbit hole watching some other stuff, and a thought came up. You specifically said you think he's kind of like the martyr, the champion for those who've been feel they had negative experiences with black men. I will go a step further. I had a very similar thought today. Well, I would say I think he's a champion for those who simply have against black people, including black people. It's like there are black people who is like, them niggas, man, I'm tired of these niggas, man. Like, you know what I mean?
They want to go in the house. They want to go in the house.
Yeah. And you know what I mean? And it's just like, and there are black folks that are on that kind of time. And it's like on the one hand, you kind of get it because we get tired of ourselves too. Like we ain't, you know what I mean? We got issues. So, yeah, that's there. But you can tell it's like instead of, but it's different when you're in it though. You know what I mean? It's like we have a problem. I'm a part of this. And you know what I mean? Like I'm a part of all of it, the good, the bad, the ugly. And you know what I mean? And I empathize. It's like I have an issue with the negative things, but I also empathize with the issues that got us here and all that kind of stuff. But when you have people who don't have the empathy, again, even with the same skin tone, but they have the art without the empathy, they need somebody to gravitate to, and they usually gravitate to people like him who are on that side. And so anyway, I have bigger thoughts on that. I don't want to go down that rabbit hole. I just wanted to just throw that out there in general, just because I had a very similar thought in that lane today. And I think it's true, but that's a bigger, deeper conversation. But yeah, I feel where you're coming from on that.
When you've been coerced or commissioned to be on that side, when you've been brainwashed or indoctrinated to be on that side, you begin to just regurgitate the same rhetoric that they spew, and you don't even know what you're saying. Like it's almost like a level of delusion to some degree, because it's like, yeah, I can't stand niggas. And you don't realize that you're a nigga. Like it's like it's so
no, but that's the thing. They don't. No, that's the problem. They like I'm not them. They do think they one of them. That's the whole problem. They like them niggas. I'm one of them.
So hear me out.
The ones that was voting for Trump.
Hear me out. I just saw something. This black psychologist guy that I follow was talking about the white fragility prayer. It is what you just said is it's going to sound like regurgitation. This is what it says. It says racism exists, but not here. And if it's here, it's not me. And if it's me, I didn't mean it. And if I meant it, it's not racist, or I'm not racist. That's just how it is. The same regurgitation. The same regurgitation we do. We still write out of their playbook and don't even know we saying the exact same thing that they be saying to defend racism. It's kind of crazy. The delusion is absolutely crazy.
Yeah. I think
because
we are like in social media, it even has more created this Delulu land of like everything. It's like, oh, nothing's really happening. Like, oh, it's just perfect over here, girl. We is burning. Yeah. Fire. And that's why they're taking away TikTok, because they don't want us to see all the things that is going on and how we were so connected in all this information we were giving on one another. America's trying to, or the Congress is trying to deplete that, because we were getting information that was that they didn't want us to see. And so it's just like they want us to keep us in this facade, this delulu. And I feel like this even going back to even now with like they're trying to rearrange history, and they took away PBS, and like now they're trying to like talk about slavery was okay. It wasn't okay. It was okay. Real. It was never okay. It's been never okay. And I just even was looking at an interview from people in the UK. It was like an interview with this guy, and he was saying like, how do you feel about the representation of Blacks in the US? And she was like, I only see literally this UK girl was like, I only see what the representation of Black culture, Black history is off of media. Media is what really defines and pushes the needle of how we are representation of cultures. And because of the fact that they know that, they are controlling that. And because they are controlling that, others feel like that it's okay. But we over here talk about it is not okay. It's been not okay. And I don't know when it's going to get to a point when it's not going to be okay. But media is really what fucking up everybody's viewpoints of everything that's going on right now, for real.
What I'm seeing is, and that's definitely 100%. I think media has always been utilized in strategy, even if you take it back to like the Martin Luther King times, where he knew what our representation was in media, so he did the nonviolence, so that way the media, the rest of the world, could actually see that we were being attacked as Black people, as opposed to us fighting back, because we knew the media would just show us an image of us fighting back against the police and then utilize that to kill us, which is what they did with the Black Panther Party. But so I agree with that for sure. The media is kind of recycling mass producing what our representation is. But my issue, I think now that we've come to a point now, because of social media, right, where everybody is upset at each other, right, as opposed to trying to say like, okay, look, I get that you don't like this, but let's get to the bigger picture. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like I had this conversation once where with some of my colleagues, and they were talking about how in the 60s, right, everybody was for like the anti-racist movement, right? Well, not everybody, but a lot of people. I don't say everybody, but a lot of people were, and we were joint. We had brown skinned people, black skinned people. We had the LGBTQ people. We had all types of church folks, non-going church folks. We had a variety of people represented that were for the movement against racism. But then after that, what happened is everybody went into their silos. Well, I'm a Christian. Well, I'm a Muslim. Well, I'm atheist. Well, I'm LGBT. Well, I'm Black. Well, I'm white. Well, I'm Asian. Well, I'm Latinx. So like nobody is willing to come together, because they're always pointing at each other saying, well, I don't like the fact that you got big feet and I got little feet, so I'm not rocking with that. And until you show some support for little feet, we ain't rocking with big feet. They like, well, you got a little head and I got a big head, so I don't rock. You know what I'm saying? Everybody is always divided because they're always saying, whoa, look at my issue, as opposed to ever coming together. And I think this is a perfect example of that, where we have so many people that's divided. Like, yo, yo, you need to show empathy. No, forget empathy. He wasn't empathetic, so let him die. And then we got some other people that's like, ha, 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 he's dead. Ha, ha, he deserved it. And then we got some other people like, dang, he don't deserve that. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and at the end of the day, we're constantly bickering amongst each other and there's no unity.
I think we're being socially charged and have been for probably the last decade to do so. Like it is literally the battery in the back of our social media that keeps us going. The ability, the division, really more than the unity, is what kind of makes news, media, conversation thrive. And I think in this particular case, the evidence is no more clear than we have never, ever, ever, ever in the history of America been able to see such a gruesome public execution displayed across all platforms without trigger warning, without blocking. Like, you just don't see it. Like, when people try to post this sort of anything even close to this in this line, like when the cartels do certain crazy stuff where they shoot people in the head, it's there's a trigger warning, it's blocked out, it's removed from social media. This has been blasted like by any and everybody on any and every social media site. And I think that's intentional. I think that is the new age way of propaganda, of turning this into what is going to be a race war. And I think we got to be we got to be smarter than that and kind of see the strategy for what it is and not use this moment to kind of fight as much as we do, especially internally.
I just don't understand why they're trying to get the HBCUs. I feel like when they was over here trying to shut down the HBCUs, I feel like it was a Nene Leakes moment. Like, what the fuck it got to do with me? Like, what does this got to do with us? Like, why are we having to shut down because this man, like, and I think, who was the shooter? Was the shooter actually a white man? Like,
they haven't caught the person yet.
They haven't caught the person, right? So
no, they had two suspects that they had in custody for a minute, but then they released them because they recognized that they weren't involved whatsoever.
Right.
This
so it's
is
just like,
this is generally not a black man crime, though.
Well, we talking about Utah.
And Utah.
So if there was a nigga in Utah, they would have found him really quickly before he even made it.
Before he turned around, they would have been like, got him.
Like, hold up. Hold on.
Like, what you doing
there,
here?
Boy?
Like, what are you doing? What are you doing?
We know that clearly, based on historical context, we know that the shooter is most likely of Caucasian descent. So I don't, but even the way that Republicans are spinning it, right? Like they're even saying, well, a leftist, like you don't know that it was a leftist. We haven't caught him yet. Like you don't even know,
right.
But they're doing that because they're trying to force us to do this, right? They're trying to bring us back to that combativeness. It's like, we don't know why. And again, someone brought this to my attention earlier in my post today because people was wilding, but somebody brought this to my attention as well. They were like, you don't know if he was killed because of the stuff he said. And I was like, that's true. And I said, I was like, if I find out that there's another reason, then I'll apologize. Like because we don't know, maybe he went off and murked somebody, you know what I'm saying, and got away with it and kept on talking just like as regular, you know, and somebody.
I was going to say that at some point, man. You don't know if he owes somebody money, nigga.
And you know what? I think this is even the bigger thing. This is just an overall thing.
He might owe the wrong person, man. He might owe Big Worm, and he came to collect. You don't know.
Listen, and I think this is more of a bigger thing of like, I think they just want to try to find some way for us black people to get on the field or do something. Because even with us, like I'm here in LA, so I've had to deal with a lot of like the ICE raids and like a lot of stuff that has been happening here and a lot of stuff that's been going on. I feel like a lot of it, they wanted us to like march or us being out there. And I said personally, I ain't going out there. Because they know as soon as them black people, as soon as they get black people on the streets, they going to kill us or they going to try to torment us or try to use us as an example. And I think for us as black people, we're tired. I'm tired. I'm tired of marching. I'm tired of doing all the things. I'm tired. I is tired Okay, I know that America has not been for us, never been for us, never been by us. So for me, I'm only gonna do like Mariah Carey said. I'm gonna do the best I can with what I got. Oh,
No doubt. No doubt.
okay.
I feel that. I feel that. I think what I also, one of the things, and I apologize for kind of steering the conversation, but one of the things that also frustrated me with some of the posts that I've seen is like this fake revolutionary talk that I've been seeing on social media, right? Where people are like, well, sometimes violence is the best response for the revolution and da 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 da. And I was just like, and in my head, this is just the way, that I think, right? Because I remember there was years ago, I watched a Killer Mike session. He had an open forum and he was talking. And one of the things he asked, he was like, how many of y'all hunt? How many of y'all grow your own food? How many of y'all shoot consistently? How many of y'all grow your own vegetables? Any of that stuff. If you don't do any of that on a weekly basis, twice a week, you're not ready to oppose shit. So everybody that's on the internet talking about, oh, well, this is the revolution and da da da. I'm ready to revolutionize whenever y'all ready. Y'all tell me when it's time, but I'm not ready for random acts of violence as a revolution. That's not a revolution. That's not a strategic plan. That's people being stupid.
It's
you know
also
what I'm saying?
not a smart. Thank you. It's not a smart.
Yeah, exactly. That's people being stupid, and that's to me disguising stupidity and masking it as revolution. We're not any more free today than we were yesterday, right? That we don't have new laws that have passed because of what happened yesterday. We're not being a revolutionary by killing somebody who said some shit on Instagram and YouTube that we disagree with. That's not what revolution is. Revolution is changing the minds, the perspectives, the thought processes, the laws in our society to better benefit us. That's revolution. And just because somebody was killed, don't call that revolution. That's stupidity, because you're gonna get caught. It's 2025. Committing murder in 2025 is a different kind of stupid. I'm just telling you, right? You're gonna get caught. It's just a matter of time. Doing it on a college campus as well is even stupider. You're gonna get caught. It's only a matter of time. But what I've seen is people pretending like they're ready now to do a change and let's do this. And it's really like the keyboard revolutionary. You're not really like, what acts are you doing to actually shift things, as opposed to just typing I am a revolutionary on Instagram or on Facebook or on YouTube? Stuff like that has been pissing me off, because I'm like, bro, you're not going anywhere and you're setting us up for failure in the future, because again, you're giving people a reason to attack us when we already are under attack right now. And again, I apologize for steering the conversation differently. I know we already been on it for an hour, but let's give each other a couple of more minutes to do some final words, because I don't want to be here. I know folks have stuff to do at night, so I don't want to be here all night on the subject. But let's start with Jarrell, because I know you ain't talked in a minute. I'll let you get some words in real quick.
Yeah, I don't really have anything really concise to say. My thoughts are all over the place. I kind of said my main points. Other than that, it's just I'm feeling what everybody else is communicating. I guess what I'll just say, to go along with what you were talking about the revolution, like what I see is that, like, in the violence, obviously, like I said, I agree. Like I'm definitely on that, obviously, the non-violence tip, and it's not the way. What I will also say though is that I'm on the side of things where I've been feeling for a long time, and I'm just isn't unique to me, but I think we've been headed toward the tipping point for a while now, and I think this is just another accelerant. I think tensions have been rising significantly for a little while now, and there's been a number of different things that have been like accelerating that. And I'm not a conspiracy theorist necessarily, at least not to the degree that a lot of people are, where they feel like there's specific plans of that people are doing these things intentionally to spark that. That's a whole other conversation. I'm not in that lane. But what I will say is that because of that, it's kind of like this. Like, this is the analogy I have. Like, you know what I'm saying? When you were younger, and you know what I'm saying? Like when you felt somebody disrespect you and you was hot with somebody, but you wanted to fight, but you kind of didn't. And so you did the little shoulder thing. Like, what you gonna do? What you gonna do? What you gonna do?
Swing first.
You know what I
Swing
mean?
first.
Yeah, swing first. It's like you too mad and in it to like fully walk away, but you don't really want to go, but you kind of want to. And then what happens? Somebody, you got the instigator comes in. he either do one of two things. He push y'all, you know what I'm saying, to get y'all going, or if you love your mom, put your hand on the plate. You know what I mean? It's like something to accelerate. Like, yo, y'all know, you know what I'm saying? But somebody coming in to accelerate the tension that's already there to get y'all to go there. I kind of just feel like things like this and other things you can point to are kind of headed to that. And so I'm just grieved for the bigger picture. You know what I mean? Because it's so because when you said, or all of you kind of said something like this, but when you were like, you know, people were getting militant and talking about how they're going to retaliate. You see how fast they jumped on it when you were like, what did black people have to do? It's because they're already there. You know what I mean? It's like their mind, they just need a reason. It's like you all you gotta do is give them a little, you know what I'm saying, shove, and they're ready. Black people, we coming out. You know what I mean? It's because people, like, the tensions are already there on those sides. And so, like, I'm just grieved because I've been realizing that we're getting to that point, and that's just my concern. You know what I mean? Like, because obviously, like I said, I don't want death on any side. I was enjoying, and this last thing I would say, like, what the kind of resolution I want. I don't know if you guys, those of you guys who watch Charlie, there's another dude. What's his name? I know his name.
Ben Shapiro.
Who? No. The young dude who was schooling Charlie, the young dude who has a podcast. What is his name?
White boy. Yeah. I know you're talking about.
It's like that's the kind of wins I want. Like, yo, I want to see him take those kind of L's, because we can build on that. Like, you know what I'm saying? That's how we can make moves. But it's like, you know, where we're headed, it's that kind of stuff isn't going to happen. So I'm just grieved, and I don't even necessarily use the word afraid, even though that's in there. But it's just more like I'm just saddened for what I see is where we're headed on all sides. And so, yeah, I'll just stop there.
No doubt. We'll go Tony and then JB, and then I'll close us out.
Well, you know me. I've been a protester since I've been little. Okay.
Facts.
I've been fighting. Literally,
you done made national news.
Protesting when Obama was around. I was protesting LAUSD because they was taking away arts. I was around when UC Davis, when they was putting in the prison reform and prison systems, and we was able to take that out, all the UC systems. And so I always felt like my life was a protest, or always having to fight for something. And for me, for this situation, I just feel like there's going to be I feel like for me, I just want to be like, who out? Anybody that is not for me, or not want me to get any success, or my people or my community, come on out, so I can block you, so I can move out the way, so you can get out my algorithm, so you can get out my system. Because I feel like what's happening now is I started to see a lot of people that was around my circle or around my algorithm that was not for me. And so I'm like, let me go ahead and let these people speak their truth, so I can move them to the side. And I think the other thing too for me is, like, I always loved that I learned the ballot or the bullet. And for me, I feel like people are now trying to decide the ballot or the bullet. We haven't been able to figure out the ballot. So a lot of people trying to figure out the bullet. And unfortunately, we shouldn't have to go that route. But since we're not getting our actual, when we put in our votes and we putting it in, it's being tricked and put around and moved around. People are now taking violence to do that, or other entities. And for me, especially in LA, with having to deal with these ICE raids, now we're going to have to deal with the ICE raids again, because the Supreme Court then lifted it off. So we literally, they are being racially, like racism, like racial profiling is legal because of the Supreme Court. So it's like, do we even have support on the government level? What do we do? It's kind of like one of the things, it's like, what do we do? How do I protect myself because my government is not protecting me? That's probably the bigger question for, I would say, as a whole. And I think we don't have that unity. We don't have that humanity to have all of us kind of figure it out, because we are so divided, because they make us feel so divided. Like, they want us to feel like, oh, we shouldn't care about trans rights, LGBTQIA rights, Black rights, all, because they want to divide us so that way we can't unify. So that, because when we unify, that is a bigger change, a bigger support than anything. So I would just say, just protect yourself and do the best that you can, like I said, with what you got.
No doubt. Well said, JB.
I like that piece Tony said there. But I'll piggyback on that, but I'll start by saying something that I always say, and that's two things can be true. A lot of times we get on this very extreme side of what can be true, and reality is slapping us in the face that the two things that you think can't be true are already true. Um, but when she talked about the ballot versus the bullet, there's a quote by Fred Hampton, who was the Chicago leader of the Black Panther Party that was assassinated. And he said, I want to be a part of politics because politics is war without bloodshed. And war is politics with blood, or war is politics without bloodshed. And I thought war is politics with bloodshed. Yeah. And I thought that was very interesting, specifically coming from somebody like Fred Hampton in light of what we have going on now. To all of our Caucasian white counterparts that are urging and coercing us to have empathy in this moment, I would ask them, would you and do you have empathy for Fred Hampton? And if your response to that is, I don't know who Fred Hampton is, I would say that's part of the problem. That's it.
Well said. Well said. I think that love what everybody else has said. And there's been quite a few people in the comments. I think at one point we had like 18 people logged in on the Instagram live. I do want to shout out Jason Greenidge, who's a Bookworm Sigma. He said, as a nation, we brought this on ourselves. 89 people were so apathetic about the last election that they sat it out. We chose this direction. So I definitely appreciate everybody that's given their input 100%. And thanks to those people that watched on the YouTube live. I'll just say this, man. I'm down for the revolution. I'm down for a strategic revolution. I'm down for us saying like, okay, what do we do? Let's design, create, map out a plan, and let's execute that plan with precision. I don't think that this was a revolutionary act. I think it was an impulsive act. I think it was an emotional act. And again, I'm not shedding tears for him dying. I do empathize with, his family, the kids that got to grow up without a dad. They didn't ask for that, but at the same time, when Ade said in the chat, he said, chickens come home to roost. I think, be careful what you say. And the people that you try to overlook or think that are lower than you or beneath you, because you're still human, just like everyone else, and, but again, I'm down for the revolution with a strategic plan. I know some people are like, well, like I was talking to one of my fraternity brothers in my post chat, and I'm only saying this aloud because it was in a public platform that he talked about it, but he was like, yeah, well, an eye for an eye. And I'm like, we don't possess the numbers to do an eye for an eye. Literally, if 100% of Black people, which we know, all skin folk ain't kin folk, if we got 100% of Black people in the United States to do eye for an eye against white people, all Black people will be blind, and there'll still be about 25% of white people laughing at us with both eyes. So we don't have the numbers to do eye for an eye. What we have to do is strategically plan and see how can we get people to support us, even though they're not us, right? And we can do that in a variety of different ways. I also would like to say, support the change makers in your community. I found it interesting that I have been doing Wise Word Wednesdays every week for 8 years. We're about to start 9 years in October. 8 years I've been doing Wise Word Wednesdays every week. I have never had this much engagement on any of my Wise Word Wednesdays. And yet the one time I say something that some people find controversial, which again, it wasn't. It was just saying, yo, murder is tough. I don't agree with that. Then now all of a sudden, everybody got something to say. It's been people, I'm like, bro, where have you been for the past 8 years When I've been posting positive content, you've never said anything. And now all of a sudden you got something to say because I said, yo, murder, that's crazy. You know what I mean? So I find it interesting. The things that people choose to engage with when it feeds the negative emotion, right? Or when it activates that negative emotion as opposed to when the positive is out there. I just find it interesting. I want to say thank you to my guests. Shout out to Tony for jumping in at the last minute. I think you hit me at like 6:30. Like, I want to be on. I'm like, bet.
I need to come in.
You know what I'm saying? Shout out to JB for being, we always in the chat anyway. So we chopping it up, no doubt. Shout out to my brother, Rail. Appreciate y'all giving y'all's perspectives and just having this honest conversation. I mean, this was super impromptu. I had to create the link last minute. I was sending out the bad link, the old link and everything like that. But shout out to everybody that had an input. Please, if you haven't already, subscribe to the Wise Word Wednesday YouTube channel. You just type in Wise Word Wednesday. If you need the link directly, I absolutely will send it to you if you need it. I appreciate it. If you like that, comment, leave. It was a ton of comments in the IG Live. I would love for those comments to be on the YouTube, so that way in the future we can always have that information out there. I appreciate the congratulations for folks that are saying the support the change makers. Someone said, I do want to acknowledge always all sweet said negativity fuels anger, and unfortunately our society is in a state of misplaced anger 100%. So I'm gonna leave. We're gonna get out of here because I know folks got stuff to do this evening. Again, I appreciate each and every one of y'all. I'm gonna leave y'all like I typically do. I'm gonna say we fresh, and regardless of how you feel, regardless of what you said, regardless of your perspective, I still love you. Y'all be smooth, and we out.